ولو حيرو ودلتيو ما صرتو عم قابي شوتوسي توكوسي وأوعيتا ووثي مقوايو أسيريا تيفي مقوايو وقولتخو يميديا.
Hello, this is Joseph Pirayou. I want to welcome you to today's program, The Beginning Ashur. As always, this is a live program, and if you have any comments, any questions, you can share them with us. If you have any answers, we will give it right away, and if not, the future programs, we have question and answers. Want to thank you for watching, for comments that you send me personally, especially regarding the last program. Started a series called Project Ashurbanipal. And as I mentioned in the last program, and actually project is the name Ashur. However, since it has been changed during centuries to different names like Atur, Assyria, Suris, Surai, things like that, I named it Ashurbanipal because that name has never changed from the moment that the world found out who Ashurbanipal is, no matter what language or names that they have called us, his name hasn't changed. And that's the purpose of the unity of that name that we have kept through Ashurbanipal. And we're hoping that we will try to get to a point that everybody would call themselves Ashur or Ashuri. So today specifically, I want to talk about identity. Now, when I was prop preparing for the program, I was like, okay, sometimes we get confused, not we, but generally, let's say my idea of identity. When I say identity, I think maybe you have the same idea, but sometimes our like idea of what a word means would be different. That's how we get into trouble. Then we start arguing. But in reality, what we mean is the same thing. But since we didn't start right on this first page, then as we go, we get more like different opinions and more confusion, more we argue, we get upset, we don't want to talk, we don't want to do this. So I was thinking like the word identity. I checked, there is this Oxford dictionary, and there are like few definitions that they have given to the word identity. And then I want to apply that to the situation we have right now regarding our identity as Ashuri people. So the first thing that Oxford says about identity, the definition is very simple. It's not like it says the fact of being who or what a person is. Okay, does that explain something to us, like the fact of being who or what a person is? Now, I was thinking, identity, we start, okay, we are all humans, so identify as humans. So as humans, we are different than plants, than animals, than, etc. So that should be, we are identified as humans. But in the world, the way that it has been seen is like, do you have the map of the world? Let's just give it a shot, check it out, see what I mean by that. You look up the map of the world today. This was with colors. There's so many different maps that are out there. And you see there are countries, they have names, and they identify themselves by the place that the country has borders. So we look on the North America, we see Canada, United States, and Mexico. And of course, we see United States has two parts, Alaska, which is, Canada's between, but these are two countries. And the identification is United States of America or Canada. Then you see Russia, then you see China, Australia. So by borders, now everybody's identifying themselves by the borders that they live in right now. But these borders were not the same 500 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1500 years ago. Definitely, it wasn't the same 3,500 years ago. There was no United States of America. There was a land that these lands have been existing for at least God knows how many thousands of years. Some believe only 6,000 years, some say 10 million years. Doesn't matter. But this land has been in existence for such a long, long, long time. However, the identification of the people that live there has changed. Because when we go back to the time of Ashurbanipal, the land that was there was called Ashur, not Assyria. How do I know? Because by the archaeological findings that they have done, they say, oh, this is Ashurbanipal. They found out through the name to the cuneiforms, they translated it. Oh, this guy is Ashurbanipal. Oh, they believed in a god, that the supreme god Ashur. Oh, they named themselves Ashur. As time went, with the help of the blessed Greeks, since they don't have a she in their language, Ashur become Asur and all these other things. But right now, I want to stick to identity. So the first expression was the fact of being who or what a person is. We are all humans. However, the world does not see humans as just humans. They say you need identification. Where are you from? Because each country has different laws, regulations. United States, I'm a U.S. citizen. We have this show the passport. So if I want to travel, they ask me who you are. So I have this passport. I give it to them. My name is there, photograph, where I was born, and they look, oh, United States citizen born in Tehran, Iran. So yeah, that's what happened. We immigrated. It wasn't a choice or I have to apologize or anything. This is who I am. I was born in Tehran. I was 16. We came to the United States. We stayed here a couple of years. I qualified, applied for citizenship. Now I'm a United States citizen. Now back in Iran, the identity that we had was religious minority because they didn't accept us as equal with the other Iranians. We are Ashuri, Christian, Armenians, Jewish, Baha'i, Zartushti. These were all religious minorities. I don't know if Baha'i and they were considered as, because they really hate, especially that's before Shah, before Islamic Republic, because our family, we left Iran when still was under the Shah's control and his regime. When we came here, then the Islamic Republic started. So I don't know what's going on with them, but back when I was there, I was considered a religious minority. My identity, even though I was born in Tehran, I'm Iranian, but we were kind of looked at differently. It is what it is. That's what it was. Then we came here, we kept to say, you know what, whoever is asking, I said, I'm Ashuri. Why? Because that's all I know. From the time I could remember, my father, my mom, my father was born in Soviet Union because of the genocide. His parents had to leave. They went there. They kept that Ashuri identity somehow, the language. When they came back, my father had this Russian accent, speaking Farsi, Ashuri, My mom, her father, they went through a different cycle, genocide. They ended up in Bakuba camp. They came back. So back to identity, that was my identity. Just from I could remember, you're Ashuri. We would go to the Ashuri gatherings, dancing, music, friends, families. We didn't go outside as much. We stayed with each other because we were a minority and we were not really. There was many other Ashuri in Iran that they had non-Ashuri friends, Muslim friends. They interacted with them, but this is personal. This is what happened to me. It's not that it's good or bad. This is what it is. Then we come to the United States. We keep this identity as Ashuri, and we share that. But I'm a U.S. citizen, right? Now, on the definitions that they were saying, the first one was the fact of being who or what a person is. The other definition that they had was characteristics. Like, what are the how do you identify? Let's say, Joseph, you're Ashuri. What does that mean? Right? Well, from what I know, maybe you can help me to add to that. From what I know, let's go through some of these photos. First one, we have this dance. We have our customs. We have our special dance, Sheikhani, Bagiya, Janiman, Tovlama, Tanzara. We have these photos, like they identify us. Like when I believe this photo that we have of the dance group, I believe this is in Australia. I'm not sure. So all over the world, especially during the time of what they call it, New Year's, Ashuri New Year's, Chab Nisan, Akito, whatever that name is. That's another thing. We need to fix one way or another. We need to have one name for that. Is it Akito? Stick to it. Is it Nisan? Stick to it. As an identification should be one. If you are one people, we cannot have different names for the same, same New Year. Anyway, so these are characteristics that they're talking about here. And these are the ones that I could find that relate that when I say I'm Ashuri, one of them is the dance group. The other ones are like you go back in history, the archaeological finds that they had. They have this Lamassu. I saw it when I was in Europe a few weeks ago. This is the Tree of Life in the British Museum. The other one that we have to identify us is our alphabet, our language. This is specifically identify us as who we are, as Ashuri. What's interesting, if you see the Chaldean, and I'm sure the Aramaic, Arameans, the alphabet, Ashurai. If you look at their alphabet, it's pretty much, I don't know what the difference is. I don't know, honestly. But these are characteristics. The other one that we identify when we say as an Ashuri is the flag. And this is the photo that I found out, Assyrian Cultural Foundation. They have the diagram, and underneath they explain what these colors are, what the blue represents, what the white represents, what the red represents, then the three of together, and the star in the middle, and last not least, the emblem of Ashur god, right? So when we talk about identity, we have the fact of who we are. Then they talk about characteristics of the identity and the objects. These are the objects. When they talk to us, the third explanation was like, what is your like ID card? This is what is explaining as far as identity is concerned. Then the fourth part is individuals. Like when I show the map of the world, we have these countries and people living in these countries. They, as as a whole, we have Americans, Russians, Chinese, Europe, well, not European, we have European Union, but they are countries within that. They identify as Italian, French, Dutch, so on and so on. So that's what the identification is. But one thing that we have realized, especially when you look in the Facebook, which has brought people together from all over the world, especially us, the fourth explanation that I found in Oxford Dictionary is regarding, says, close similarity or affinity. The identity, initiating or creating an identity between individuals, how we communicate who we are together. Like going back, I was thinking about the confusion that was created by the alphabet. Let's show that profile photo. Can we show my profile photo? So those of you who have, we have friends on Facebook, this is my profile photo. Whoever sees it, it will say this emblem. I don't know what the back part is called. Then we have the cup with the US flag and Ashur flag in there. And my name is Joseph Pirayou, but I added Ashur because whoever sees that is going to see that I identify myself with Ashur. And everything is Ashur. The top part, the circle part is just the explanation that they have about identities, like your affinity, how you communicate with others. Joseph, you're a US citizen. Of course I am. I've been, God knows, 30 some years US citizen. I identify with this because we don't have a land right now. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's half Armenian when we were in LA a couple of days ago. There is a land called Armenia, and and in Glendale, they have a big community and they have good food too. We went there, really nice, bakeries and stuff like that. You have to watch out. But the thing is that there's an Armenian store there in the United States, in Glendale. There is a community there. Even though they're in the United States, they have kept their identity as Armenians. They speak the language, they have the food, they have whatever else that is associated with their culture, but they have something and there's a strong community there. There is Armenia. So go back there. You have a country, but they're here. So when I put on Facebook, the Ashur, we don't have a country. I want to communicate with my fellow Ashuri that what we have right now is that's all we have in order to identify together. Because when you separate, when you don't keep that identity, guess what happens? One of the examples are the flags. So I showed you the Ashur flag of that the Cultural Foundation had put, but we have a flag of Chaldean, right? Or Aramean, either one you can show. There is a group called Chaldeans. They identify themselves as Chaldeans, and they say we are not Ashuri. And history tells us this is all bull. I was going to say that word, but I'm not going to. This is nonsense. Okay, this is BS, American style, and I don't mean Bible studies. This is absolute BS. We know that. They know that. Most of them know that, but well, not most of them, but most of them trust the people who tell them you're Chaldean. Or the other flag that we have, Aramean, right? They say you are Aramean. The confusion, the communication that they have caused is that the identity crisis. These are the identities right now. And on Facebook, sometimes I see all these arguments, fighting, and all these things that is happening on Facebook. And I'm sure there are in churches. When we were in Europe, there's this family that we met. I was so surprised she recognized me. I mean, we were talking, speaking Ashuri, then he asked us, and the word they used, they spoke our language, says, are you Aturnaya? That was the first time I had heard that word, Aturnaya. I had heard Aturaya, Suraya, Suroyo, and they were from the Chaldean faith. They lived, I believe, in Vienna. They had family in San Jose, California. And the lady said, you look familiar. And she had seen this program on Assyria TV. So there are some things that people follow, but maybe they don't identify as who they truly are, but they have been confused. So identity, when it comes to the definition that we have, is the similarity affinity, the initiative created to identify between individuals. Right now, some sources have confused people with the Aramean and Chaldean identity. But before getting to those, we need, as Ashuri people, to realize what is an identity that we can share with each other. There would be no confusion. These are the things that I found. And at the same time, communicate with each other, because one thing that I've seen, that I talk to so many people outside, but they say, your program, we see it, we like it, but Joseph, you know what? You're wasting your time. What's going on here? We'll never be a nation. We'll never be a people. We are so bad. We are so backstab each other. So many negative things, right? And most of the time they're right. But that doesn't mean I have to give up. I believe in it. If you don't, that's fine. But those of us that believe in it but have been discouraged by this part, that we share, we give each other, as we say, heart, libbe. We encourage each other to keep the identity, to share it. Believe me, this has at least has helped me with other people. Before, when my profile name was Ashur, long time ago, I changed it to Joseph Pirayou Ashur. Then I found out about the name and the significance of name Ashur. I changed it to Ashur because I was corrected. And when I'm corrected, I have no problem being corrected. Now, the last information they have about identity, that was the very, very interesting one. It says transformation that leaves a person unchanged. It's called identity element. That's what it got me. I said, wait a minute, that's what is happening to us. The identity element, regardless where we are, regardless what kind of religious belief we have, what kind of political belief. We have let these to separate us, to divide us. But at the end of the day, that identity element is the most important, because no matter where we are, we don't have a country yet. We won't have it for a long time. I don't think it's going to happen very soon, but that's not the point. That doesn't mean we have to change. We have to give up on the identity. See, I showed you the flag of Kurds, the flag of Chaldeans, and the flag of Arameans. These are our fellow brothers and sisters that have been confused into believing they have a different identity. But there is another front. Can we show that photo of that Kurdish civilization book? I don't read Arabic, but I can read the alphabet. It says Tariqa Hazarat al-Kurd. Then they have the English translation. It says history and civilization of the Kurds. And they have this photo of this guy on a horse with bow and arrow while riding and shooting the bow and arrow. And it says at the bottom, Talif. That means, I believe, whoever wrote this name is Muhammad Mahmud al-Mandalawi and something like that. So this is out there. There is a book, because it says Talif. So somebody wrote a book about the history and civilization of the Kurds and has used that specific photo, right? All right, are you ready for this? Should I show you this? I mean, okay. This is a book. Okay, compare this photo with the photo of the book that this Muhammad Mahmud al-Dalawi, or whatever his last name is, has written. Okay, this is a book published by British Museum about 6 years ago. It's called The BP Exhibition. You read it for yourself. I am Ashurbanipal, king of the world, king of Assyria. That's the subject of next program, between Ashurbanipal and Assyria, the connection. But right now, we're talking about identity. See, this photo, keep this photo of that book. The identity we're talking about. Look at this history, civilization of the Kurds. It is so important to this Kurd person, and I'm sure to a lot of Kurds, to identify themselves with something that is huge, because Ashurbanipal is huge. How do I know? British Museum, they have the biggest exhibition, not just exhibition, they have in their stores so much about Assyri, Ashuri artifacts and statues and everything, because back in 1800s, when they start excavating, they keep bringing it. They have so much. If the British Museum empties other things that they have, if they put the Ashuri artifacts in there, they still have a lot more. They should build another British Museum to put these artifacts in there and the statues. So the identity to this Kurd writer is so important. However, what is it that he can show as a Kurd? History of the Kurd. It says history and civilization of the Kurds. What is it there to show? He has nothing. And he's showing it. This photo, if you didn't know anything, you would believe that this guy, that this author in British Museum has put as Ashurbanipal, king of the world, king of Assyria, would think that this guy on the photo here, on the horse with the bow and arrow, is a Kurd. Does that make sense? We are identity from two parts. Our own people being separated by religious, by denomination, by whatever you want to call it. Then on the other side, I don't know if we should call them enemy or whatever, but our civilization is so powerful that the Kurd that wants to show himself powerful is using us and try to erase our identity. Now, I don't know how it works for you to preserve that identity, but my reliable, or what I rely on, is, let's show these two verses from the Bible. This is my source. I don't force anybody to believe in what I believe, but I'm telling you, I rely mine on this word. And what does this word say? This is a Jewish Bible translation. Can we see that first part? I can read it for you. You don't have to believe in it, but this is what keeps me going. You know, it's Isaiah 19, Isaiah chapter 19, verse 23 and 24 right now. And this is the Jewish CJB, Complete Jewish Bible. And in that Jewish translation in English, it says, on that day, there will be a highway from Egypt to Ashur. Ashur will come to Egypt, and Egypt to Ashur. And Egypt will worship with Ashur. Verse 24, on that day, Israel will be a third partner with Egypt and Ashur, and a blessing here on earth. All three of these nations will be a blessing. This is what it says here. You don't want to believe in it? Fine. But this is my fuel to keep that identity, to keep that name, to keep the culture, to keep the civil, to keep whatever it is. I have brothers and sisters that are consider themselves Chaldean, consider themselves Aramean. I'm not going to fight with them. I'm not going to insult them. Those are my brothers and sisters. We just share some information. We learn through knowledge. We are cradle of civilization. We have brothers and sisters. Why should we fight with them? Why should we insult them? These are our family. Sometimes families don't get along together. You know, we all have some in the family we don't like, right? But that doesn't mean we have to get rid of the family. Then, what is the last verse? The last word, verse 25th. Says, for Adonai the Zawud has blessed him. Blessed be Egypt, my people, Ashur, the work of my hands, and Israel, my heritage. This is my fuel. I don't know what your fuel is. I have a recommendation. If we can identify, or any of these social medias, put the name Ashur somewhere. You don't have to do what I do, but I learned from other people. We are learning from each other. They said, Joseph, don't put Assyria and put Ashur. I said, okay, I have no problem. Correct me. Let's share it on faith. Let be the thorn in the eyes of the so-called civilization and history of the Kurds. It's up to us. If you're looking for an organization or for like some religious leader or whatever, good luck. If you have one, let me know. I'll share that information. But until then, it's us with us. Ganan qaganan. Until there is something else, it is up to us to keep this identity. It has value for you? It has value for the court. If it wasn't value for the court, he wouldn't take our Ashurbanipal and change him to a Kurd. See how much value it has for them. Why shouldn't it have value for us? Even more, because it is our history. So we are here. We're going to stay here. We have been here for so long. We're not going anywhere. Now, at the end, Shimit Ashur Khaya Halaha. Ahiya Ashur Khaya. Mabqila, finish. Thank you, and we'll see you next program. Bye.
Sheikhani.